quite the greeting. I like that.
I know. All right, what's up, Res Youth? How are you guys doing tonight? This section is doing well. That section needs to wake up a little bit. All right, welcome in. As Pastor Landon said, my name is Jason. This is Mallory. We get to come up here and present to you guys week 1 of our new series called The Playbook. And The Playbook is a series where we're just going to be talking about you guys' favorite subject, dating. All right, we're going to go into this, and as we're sitting here in a church and we bring up the concept of dating, everybody kind of has that feeling of, oh no. Like they're going to tell me not to date. All right, no. Right here and right now, I'm going to tell you guys that is not what we're going to do. All right? We are not going to tell you not to date. We're just going to give you guys some good pointers on how to do it well. All right, but before we get there, I don't know how many of you guys noticed this, but this time last year, this student ministry was about 40 students strong. We had about 40 students in this student ministry. Last Tuesday night, we had a one-night event in here called The Last Dance. We had 400 students in this room, which is awesome. It's so cool. It's awesome to see you guys inviting your friends, because that's all because of 2 people that have come on staff because of that. And I just kind of want to reciprocate a little bit and honor Pastor Landon and Pastor Brooke for setting up this amazing ministry for all of you guys. They do it for you guys. They're amazing leaders. They're inspiring to both Mallory and I to watch. So thank you guys for what you do, bringing all of this together for all of these students and impacting so many lives. So thank you guys. All right, so if this is your first week here or you're joining us online, you guys picked the perfect week to come because we're doing week 1. But real quick, there's also another group that joins us on Tuesdays, but they're not actually in the room. And I want to give a huge shout out to our crew in Greeley at Britton and Miranda's house. So can you guys welcome Greeley to the room? Loud enough so the cameras can actually hear you guys.
All right, so a little bit about Jason and I. We met in high school. We were high school sweethearts. And so I think we have a little where it started pictures up there. It's a little cringy, I'm not going to lie.
I don't like how you guys are laughing at that.
That's good. He was good looking.
I know, I was a nerd. She still looks stunning.
So this photo is at our school's Sadie Hawkins dance. A solid year or more before that photo was taken, I had the hugest crush on Jason. Oh my gosh, it was bad. So back up, because Jason loves this story. So before I had a crush on Jason, I had a crush on his older brother. He's a nice guy. I was a freshman. He was a senior. He wasn't a jerk. So I developed a crush, right? Because senior guys are kind of jerks to, freshman girls sometimes. So anyway, I developed this crush on his older brother, Ben. And we're in our high school, parking lot. And, there's a bunch of people milling around because it's right after school. And, Jason comes and, walks into the parking lot. I, nudged my friend next to me. I was like, who's that guy? She was like, that's Ben's little brother. And I literally looked over and I was like, forget Ben. His brother's way hotter.
You guys got to find a girl who thinks you're hot. That's awesome. All right, so the picture we showed up there was taken in March 2004. I'm just curious, how many of you guys were born after March 2004? All right, you guys have been alive less time than we have been together. All right, that makes me feel really old, so thank you for that.
But it was good. We were high school sweethearts. We dated for 5.5 years before we got married, so some nice long-term dating there. Dated all throughout college, got married while we were in college, and we, this last summer, celebrated our 11-year wedding anniversary. So, getting up into the big numbers. But we still, how it's going now, we love spending time together. Our favorite thing is going on adventures, quality time together. It's a little bit harder to come by because we got 2 little kids. They're freaking adorable, if I do say so myself. But
you do good work. You make cute kids.
So it's going good. Honestly, Jason is my absolute best friend. I adore being married to my best friend, and there's a lot there's a lot of amazing parts of our marriage, and it's just It's an absolute joy. A lot of good parts.
Yeah, if you go further than that, you're going to start making these people blush.
I know. Okay,
Anyway,
I'll stop.
no, so we're here tonight to talk to you guys about marriage. And actually, we've titled this, the message we have tonight, The Greatest Team of All Time. All right, and that's kind of what we want to start talking to you guys about. And just to clarify, this is the greatest team of all time for us. We want you guys to find your greatest team of all time. We want you guys to find that person that you get to marry and have the greatest team, the greatest life, the greatest enjoyment out of for the rest of your life, all right? But before we get to how do we go about doing that, we actually wanted to survey the crowd a little bit and get your guys' feeling on what you think of dating relationships, okay? And so what we want you to do, we're gonna ask some questions. Some of them are gonna be directed specifically to the guys. Some of these questions are gonna be directed specifically to the ladies, and some of them are gonna be an all group question, okay? So raise your hand
if you are in a relationship or ever want to be in one. Yeah, all those hands should be going up by now.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
That's an easy question. That's an easy question. That's the whole room, okay? All right, so next question, guys. All right, guys, how many of you guys want to be in a relationship where the girl is out to fix you? All right.
Crickets. Yeah, ladies, look around. Nobody wants to be fixed. Nobody wants to be a project.
Yeah, guys don't like being projects for ladies.
All right, how about you girls? Girls, how many of you want your boyfriend to treat you like one of the guys? Yeah.
All right, guys, look around. They want to be your friend, but they don't want to be punched. They don't want to be farted on. They don't want to be treated like one of the guys, all right? All right, so how many of you guys, just corporately, everybody, who's scared of having horrible in-laws?
What? Yeah.
All right, yeah, this was like my worst fear. I've got a great relationship with my in-laws, but that was one of the biggest fears I had. Imagine having to live your whole life disliking your spouse's parents.
That's a rough thing.
That's rough.
All right, so this one's for the girls. So, ladies, how many of you secretly, if you're honest, you kind of want one of those chick flick love stories happening? Mm-hmm. You put them up there. I know you want them.
All right, guys, go home, lock your doors, and watch a chick flick. Don't tell any of your friends you're doing it, but go watch one. Go study up on what the ladies want. No, all right, so how many of you guys have actually seen someone get absolutely crushed by a failed relationship? Wow, that's a lot. A lot of failed,
heartbreak.
Crushed relationships out there. All right.
All right, so this one's for everyone too. How many of you want to be a part of a relationship that lacks forgiveness? Shocker, nobody.
Yeah, everybody wants the relationship that forgives? Okay, well, you guys planning on screwing up or something? All right, no, we're not gonna unpack that right now. All right, hey guys, how many of you want your lady to smell nice?
You want her to smell good?
Want them to smell good?
What kind of smell good? Are we talking smelling like bacon? What's the smell good? Yeah, do we need to make a new perfume line?
I'm telling you, you guys know a chemist. Get them working on bacon perfume.
Yeah.
Guys will go crazy.
This is our $1 million idea. All right, ladies, how many of you, let's see, how many of you want your guy to show up with some flowers on a first date?
All right, but be honest, how many of you guys want him to bring tacos instead?
Yes. Take notes, gentlemen. You're welcome.
All right, tacos.
Bouquet of tacos.
There you go, taco bouquet. I like that. All right, raise your hand if you not only want a relationship, you want that fairy tale, amazing, great marriage.
Someday you want a great marriage.
All right. If you're in this room sitting next to your boyfriend or girlfriend and they didn't just raise their hand, something's really wrong.
Yeah. Warning. All right, how about this? Raise your hand if you're ready to be a part of a great marriage. Yeah.
Yes, there we go. The hair grows. I like it.
All right. So everybody raise their hand. that they wanted to be a part of a great marriage. But how do you go from wanting to be a part of a great marriage to being ready for it? And that's something that we're going to dive into.
All right, so guys, we all acknowledge that we want a great marriage. This is something that we all want to strive for. We want that marriage where your spouse is forgiving, your spouse is loving, your spouse understands you, your spouse accepts you for who you are. Your spouse just knows what you like and knows what to get you before you even ask for it, right? We all want that kind of marriage. I think everybody in this room can tell me, if I sat them down and asked them, what do you want in a great marriage? You can rattle off 5 or 6 different things, but a lot of them all kind of come down to that central aspect of you just want a loving, kind, understanding marriage. And everything from there kind of builds off of that, right? But I want to kind of probe a little bit deeper. What is loving? What is kind? What is forgiving in the first place? We all say we want these things, and we all have this image of what that thing looks like in our own minds. But does the person that you're with have that same image? Does the person that you really want to have a relationship have the same definition of forgiveness? Do they have the same definition of kindness? Do they have the same definition of what it's like to truly love you? And see, that's kind of one of the issues we want to talk about tonight is all of us kind of come with our own definitions and our own really foundations of what a relationship should look like, and that's what we want to start addressing. We want to start hitting the foundation of what your relationship is. All right? But we actually are fortunate because we have a great definition of what an awesome marriage is. And that kind of comes from the Bible. It's in the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, and I think we're going to throw it up here on the screen. All right, goes like this. Wives, understand and support your husbands. All right, guys, how many guys want a wife that understands and supports you? Yeah, all right, we're tracking. We got this, all right? In ways that show your support for Christ. The husband provides leadership to his wife the way Christ does to his church, not by domineering, but by cherishing. It goes on. So just as the church submits to Christ as he exercises such leadership, wives should likewise submit to their husbands. Husbands, go all out in your love for your wives. Ladies, who wants a guy who goes all out in their love for you? Like, goes fully all out for their love. Yeah, all of these things we agree with, right? Exactly as Christ did for the church, a love marked by giving and not getting. All right, so let me pray for us, and we'll start to digest this a little more. God, we thank you for tonight and this opportunity to just hang out in an awesome environment and get to worship you and then get to study your word and what you have to say about relationships. And so as we're here tonight, I just pray that you would be softening our hearts to receive what you want us to know, that these words would impact us where you need us to improve. And God, I pray that the words we speak here tonight would impact and improve the life of all the students who hear it. We thank you again for the opportunity to be here, and it's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
All right, so let's unpack this verse a little bit, right? So we read through it and we're like, that's good. Yeah, okay, I want that. How do we do that? Right? It's like way easier said than done. All right, so we can't just wake up one morning and be like, ta-da, ready, I got it. No, it doesn't work like that, right? We got to work our way up there.
All right, so one way to look at this is kind of like sports, all right? Who out there plays sports? All right, this message is called The Playbook. Look at this kind of like sports. We want to make it to this end goal. We want to make it to this relationship that is loving, is kind, is supportive. Let's define that as the pros, all right? You've made the professional league when you have a relationship like that, all right? But the hard part is nobody just was born one day ready to play in the pros, right? Nobody was just born one day. LeBron James did not wake up dribbling a basketball. Okay, maybe that's a bad example. But most professional athletes had to work at it, had to build up their skills, had to build up their talents to get to the pros, all right? And so a lot of us need to start kind of at a foundational level, all right? How many of you guys have seen a little kid soccer game? Like, I'm talking little kid soccer game. Yeah, all right, so my son, his very first soccer game was when he was 3 years old. It was played in a YMCA in Colorado Springs where the jersey, like, hung down to here. Like, you didn't need shin guards because the jersey hung down so far. And it was inside of a gym because it was March in Colorado, so it was like -20 and snowing. But we're in this gym floor, and you can see all these kids just running around crazy playing soccer, and it's hilarious to watch because you've got like 4 or 5 kids running after that ball, and then that crazy parent who's yelling at the 3-year-old, get the ball, get the ball, get the ball, and the kid's probably in the corner picking his nose or like crying because he's all wrapped up in the net and can't figure out how to get out. And then you have the kids trying to figure out that this round white thing goes in the net, and when that happens, everybody cheers. And so it doesn't matter which net you're going for. I'm just getting it into a net. So you have poor little Johnny kicking his own goal, and the other parents are cheering, and his dad's sitting over there going, I should have just put him into piano practice. I should have just. But that's where we all kind of start, right? We all start needing to understand how to play the game. And some of that is a lot of fun to watch because you can start to see kids understand competitiveness, understand the strategy of the game, understand that there are certain things you do that lead to success, right? And in kind of the same way, our relationships. Think back 4 years ago to the relationships you guys saw 4 years ago. That's pretty cringy, right? Like, think back 4 years ago to those boyfriend-girlfriend relationships. What were those like? Oh my gosh, he looked at me.
We sat
man, she liked my Instagram photo.
We sat next to each other in the lunchroom. How romantic.
Right? Those are kind of cringy things, but kind of like with Pee Wee soccer, we all start with the fundamentals. We all start not really having a great marriage to start off with, and that's okay because we can work our way from that foundation to where we want to go.
So we got this like kind of cringy, like Pee Wee League relationships, right? That we're like all kind of, we either started off with or you've seen, you've experienced, right? You've watched your friends have these like it's kind of cute at first, but this is awkward and weird and you don't know what you're doing. And like he tries to put his arm around her, but it's all stiff and like nobody knows what to do, okay? and okay. Trust us, we have been there. There have been plenty of cringeworthy moments in the beginning of our relationship. Okay, if any of my girls who've been over to our house, everybody looks for the box. Okay, I'm that girl. I kept everything. It's a box full of cringy things. Notes we passed, class. It was bad. This is embarrassing when I tell it anyway. Okay, so. Cringe thing number 1. All right, so like a week into us dating, I'm like, I'm so happy. I've had a crush on this guy for like a year, and I did it. Got him. Okay, so now like I'm all like swoopy in it and stuff. And like I thought nobody was there to tell me that like, Mallory, Disney movies are not real. Your relationship will not magically break into song like I wanted it to. And so a week into us dating, we're like on the school bus on a trip, right? And like Jason's got his arm around me, and I just like look up and I was like, I love you. After a week. It was bad.
It's a weekend. I think all I did was just kind of one of those side hug squeeze, like, yeah, that's nice.
I don't know
in
what
my
to
head
do.
Going, oh my gosh, what did I just get myself into?
It was bad.
All right.
I learned,
Don't
okay?
do that. The guy will freak out.
I learned. Learn from my mistakes, ladies.
Or if you want to see the guy freak out and immediately dump you, try it. No.
Yeah.
All right, no, but we can laugh about these things right now, right? Because it ended well for us. It ended really well, so we can laugh about these cringy moments because I will still love her regardless. All right, but the truth of the matter is, not all relationships end well? And actually, going back to those questions we asked earlier, a lot of you guys rose your hand because you have seen relationships end really horribly. And the problem with relationships is we pour ourselves out into these relationships. We pour out our heart, our soul, our passions, our desires into these relationships. And when they end, they leave us scarred. They leave us depressed. They leave us hurt. They do incredible damage in our lives. See, when we have relationships that don't end well, it can really be painful. All right? So the way to guarantee that this doesn't happen is to have a relationship like what we defined up there with Ephesians 5. All right? If we have a relationship like what was defined up there, it leads to incredible joy and significance. And that definition was, guys, we have to love each other like God loved us. Right? Like Christ loved the church, husbands, you're supposed to love your wives. That's a huge, fundamental verse. You know why? What did Christ do for the church? He gave up everything for the church's benefit. Ladies, who wants a guy who does that? Who will give up everything for your benefit? See, when we love like Christ loved the church, our relationships get better.
And like Jason was saying, like we all want to be a part of a relationship like that. And like we said, like you don't just wake up one morning ready to be in that kind of a relationship or ready to like bring that to a relationship. Just like the like pro athletes don't all of a sudden wake up one day like ready to be a part of the Super Bowl, right? They've got to build their way there. And the way you do that is like by building skills, by setting foundations, and working our way there.
All right, so the foundation of a good relationship, again, is what I was alluding to earlier. It's God. Guys, when you have a relationship with God that is transformational in your life, you carry those lessons and that relationship into your other relationships. All right, let me give you a couple examples. Guys, when you fail your wife, when you fail your girlfriend, I'm sorry, I know it's when, not if, but when, what do you want your girlfriend to do? Or more specifically, what does God ask your girlfriend to do? To forgive you, to still love you. I mean, there still may be hurt, there still may be consequences. I'm not saying that there's not hurt and consequences and you have to work through things in relationships, but if you have someone who will choose to love you regardless of what you do, and that will forgive you like Christ forgave the church, what kind of relationship is that? That's what we all want. If we have this relationship defined by God, we will do the things that God calls us to do. Husbands, love your wives. Give up everything for her to make her better. Hey guys, what happens if you have a better wife? You get a better life. Yes, I love it. You get a better life. Guys, if your wife gets better, your relationship gets better. It's in your best interest to pour into these things. Guys, when we form our foundation of relationships based off of God, our whole relationship gets better. We have to keep going back to the person who created relationships in the first place to have a good relationship.
And it's not just about like this pro relationship that we're talking about, right? Like boyfriend, girlfriend, eventually marriage that we're aiming for. Like this foundation of our relationship with God builds upon all our other relationships in our lives too. And we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit now. So we've got our foundation of God, and there's another very significant relationship in our life that I feel like sometimes we disregard, right? The very first relationship you ever had was your family. Like, they're your first relationship, they're your longest one. Like it or not, they ain't going anywhere, right? Especially when you're like your little brother hits like 13, kind of wish maybe they would, but they're not going anywhere, right? But God has put family in our life for a very specific reason, right? And there's a lot that we can learn from our relationships with our families. And like when we start to look at what God did to form like relationships and what he's giving us, right? Our family is our first place that we get to put that like into practice. We get to practice that. Like if you want to practice forgiving someone when they feel unforgivable, like siblings, there's a word, siblings, for that, right? Or like you want to practice like serving somebody even though you don't feel like they deserve that, like family is the place that you get to practice that. Because if you mess up, if you try to like better a relationship in your family and you mess up, there's a lot more grace there because they're kind of permanent. They're not going anywhere, right? Like you get to practice respect. You get to practice serving and supportive and all these things inside the confines of family because God put them there for you to grow. And when you start to build upon that, like you're practicing like these relationships that God has put in your life that they're not going anywhere, right? You get to kind of move on to the next level of friends. Friends are the first relationship that we choose. We get to pick, right? We didn't get to pick our families, but we do get to pick our friends. And there's a certain amount of weight that comes to that. Like if you mess up in a friendship, like there's a shot they're gonna leave. And so like because we have that like in the back of our heads, you know, we treat our friends a little bit differently, and we get to experience like, okay, how do I establish a relationship with somebody new? Like when you establish relationship with your sibling, you were an infant. You didn't have to work at that. But as a friend, like you get to work at establishing a relationship. You get to work at like tending it, growing it, like being supportive, all those things, like diving in deeper. How do you go from being like just sort of a superficial friend to like really like diving in and having a best friend? Like that transition takes practice, and friends are great for that. Friends are also a great place for us to practice choosing great people. Like your friends determine the quality of your life. Your friends determine the direction of your life. If you look at the friends around you and you don't like where they're headed, newsflash, you're headed there with them. So your friends give you a great opportunity to practice choosing great influencers in your life, because your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your future spouse, that's a lot of influence. And you want to be practice at choosing well, and choosing friends gives you that practice.
All right, so we've talked about our relationship with God. As we grow our relationship with God, we get better at other relationships, and we can start putting that into practice with our family. And then we can start putting that into practice with friends. And then there's one other relationship that you guys all came here tonight to hear about. It's that boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, right? This is where we get to start putting some of the deeper things into practice, all right? If marriage is the pro leagues, dating is like the minor leagues. Please hear me loud and clear. Dating is not the pro leagues. There are still some skills, there are still some things, still some plays that you do not need to run right now when you are in the minor leagues, all right? So please hear me loud and clear. This is not full marriage, all right? But this is where we get to start practicing those things. We get to start practicing extending grace to people who truly hurt you. This is where we get to start serving the other person, start pouring into making the other person a better person. All right, this is the relationship where we really start putting things into practice. All right, but I want to give you a really, really big warning here, is with the greater opportunities in dating, there come greater risks of hurt, greater risks of damage. Look, in dating, this is where you start to really share your heart with somebody else, share your passions, share your desires for the future, share your ambitions. And when the other person kind of steps all over that, that gets really hurtful. That gets really painful. And so there's a huge caveat here is, guys, dating relationships are awesome, but beware, because they can be pretty damaging. All right, so this is where you really do learn how to serve someone else, how to care for somebody else, how to really sacrifice part of you for somebody else. And hang on, I want to stop there for just a second. The sacrifice you do for somebody else should be for their benefit and for the relationship's benefit. It should not be sacrificial out of something you don't want to give, all right? If someone is asking you to sacrifice your morals, sacrifice your desires, sacrifice more of you than what you're willing to give, that is not a healthy relationship. Get out of that relationship, all right? This is kind of like in those dating or in those friendship relationships. You have the choice to be in that relationship, just like the other person does. You want to foster or you want to grow the other relationship, but you yourself also have to be in a healthy place. So this is where we get to learn how to submit to other people, how to serve those other people, all right? And so one way to kind of look at this is we're really building a big foundation on itself, all right? So very first relationship that we can build off of our foundation, we want it to be God. All right, this is a big foundation because every relationship builds off of this. This is where we learn what a good relationship is because of what Christ did for us. And then that next place where you get to serve and practice those relationships is within your family, all right? So we're building off of this God foundation and we're building into family. This is where you get to apply a lot of what you learn from God in kind of a safe way because you're stuck with your family. They're not going to leave you if you screw up a little bit, all right? But we take a lot of those and we can build into our friends where we add more and more on top of this relationship. Your friends get to choose to leave you, and you get to choose to leave your friends if it's not healthy. This is where we really start going out and stepping out into the unknown is with our friends. And then the last thing that we should focus on is our boyfriend or our girlfriend. This should be the top piece of our pyramid. Everything builds from there. And this is important because when we build our relationships off of this and challenges come in our life and our world gets shaken, something happens, grandma catches cancer, we fail that test, we don't make it into our college, our relationships help hold ourselves together. Our relationships built off of this really help hold everything together. But see, some of the misconceptions that a lot of high schoolers do is they think boyfriend or girlfriend is the most important thing in their relationship. And then they'll focus in on their friends, right? Your friends are next up in that relationship. And then, okay, I guess family, because mom will complain if you don't spend enough time with the family. If you're spending too much time with your friends, and then after that, then you kind of spend time with God. This is kind of the last thing you spend time on. Problem with this is what happens when your life gets challenged? Your boyfriend or girlfriend is only one person, and they can only help shoulder so much weight. Guys, God can help withstand everything that life throws at you, but your boyfriend or girlfriend is only one person. And so when life throws just a little thing at you, your whole world collapses in on you. See, don't form all of your relationships and all of your priorities based off of your boyfriend or girlfriend. Build that foundation of relationships off of God because everything flows through it. When life gets challenging, God will always be there for you. And then your family will help be there for you too because they're not going anywhere. And then your friends can help lighten that burden a little bit. And then that boyfriend or girlfriend should be supportive and should be helping and should be sacrificing for you. But all of those things build off of each other. But if you get that pyramid backwards, your whole life will crumble in on yourself.